Hi guys, welcome back to Prose amongst Thorns. I'm Amy and today I'm going to be doing my February TBR. Inspired by hand reads on Instagram and BookTube, who did a tarot TBR game, I've come up with my own TBR game, which is a Norse Runes TBR game. So I've been interested in tarot and Norse runes for a while, but I haven't really been in a position to use them a lot or to get that familiar with the Norse runes in particular. So I thought this was a great way for me to use them, get familiar with what they mean, and to choose my TBR, because at the moment I just kind of mood read and I find that I'm ignoring a lot of books on my shelf, so I'm hoping that this will help me pick up some of those books. I'm sorry about the lighting, it's a little bit orange today because it's just been so dark and yeah, I can't get good lighting in this room, so we're going for shiny forehead and orange lights. There's also going to be a bell sound in the background because my cat is extra annoying today and she doesn't seem to want to leave me alone. So yeah, orange lights, dumb cat. That's what we've got to deal with today. As I said, this TBR game is really similar to Han's tarot game. I thought about my question, which was which book shall I read in February, and I pulled out 5 runes. Each of the 24 runes has its own prompt. I think a few of them have very similar prompts or maybe the same prompt, but I've tried as much as possible to have 24 individual prompts for each of the runes. Some of them are really obvious links, others I've had to kind of go with, others I've had to be a little bit more creative with, so we'll see. And if you have any ideas for maybe punishments if I don't read these books, or any fun prompts, because I think some of them are a bit boring, so if you have any fun prompts or punishment ideas, then drop them in the comments and let me know, because I'd love to make this game a bit more interesting and maybe have some stakes so that I really make sure I'm reading these books every month. So yeah. I also want to apologise in advance for how I pronounce these runes. Like I said, I'm not massively familiar with them. Most of my information has come from this Runes for Beginners guide by Lisa Chamberlain. I found this really useful. It breaks all the runes down into keywords, how to pronounce it, which I'm going to try, as well as magical properties. So it kind of like breaks it all down into really manageable chunks, which I found really useful for learning to use the runes. And this game has actually really helped me connect with them more and start using them a little bit more, which I'm really enjoying so far. So without further ado, let's get started with the TBR game. There are 5 runes, each one with a different prompt, each one with a different book. Obviously, I'm going to explain the rune, the prompt, why I've chosen that book, and maybe I'm going to try and be really brief discussion of the a very brief discussion of the actual book I've chosen as well. So let's get started. The first rune I pulled was Thurisar, I think. Thurisar? No, Thurisars. Thurisars. I'm probably saying that massively wrong. Sorry, I'm getting like attacked by my cat. So for this rune, the keywords are warning, contemplation, luck, and decisions. So there was, it's a bit vague. I kind of struggled coming up with a prompt, but in the end I decided to go for Instagram pics, mainly because I thought there's luck involved with which book gets chosen, and the decision is made by people who might have read the book or have their own opinions, so it's almost got that warning aspect. If there's a bad book in there, it's not going to get voted for. So that's what I went with. I put a poll up on my Instagram, which I will link in my bio in case you want to get involved if this happens again next month. And I put 4 books up. I think it was David Attenborough's A Life on Our Planet, Sarah J Maas's A Court of Wings and Ruin, Fence, but I can't remember who wrote it, and Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. And it was actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, but we all know who the winner is, I'm sure, as soon as I listed who was on there. It was of course A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. I bought all of these after seeing so much of it on Bookstagram last year, probably around like June, July. I bought them all. I read the first one in a day, I loved it. I read the second one not long after, and then for some reason I just haven't picked up the third one. Partially due to the size. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm just really put off by massive books, and this is definitely one of them. So I'm kind of happy that Bookstagram chose this book for me. I can't really say much about this book because obviously it's the third in a series and it will spoil the other two, but I can say that it's a really amazing fantasy series, kind of set in an alternate Britain, or at least using Britain as the map and adapting it a bit. And it's just very magical and empowering, and I just love a classic escapism book, and for me, A Court of Thorns and Roses definitely was that. So, #1 book for February, A Court of Wings and Ruin. Prompt number 2 was So Wheelo. Again, I'm kind of guessing with these pronunciations. So the keywords associated with this one were light, energy. Would you mind moving? The keywords associated with this were light, energy, good health, and success. So again, it's a really hard one to come up with a prompt for, but I went with books I've seen positive reviews for, or /and #1 bestsellers. These are books that have had a lot of success, or I think will be successful reviews or 5-star reviews. There's a lot of energy surrounding them, particularly if it's one that I've seen good reviews for, because it means a lot of people are talking about it, so making that energy. And yeah, it's just all that light, positivity, success. I think the choice for this one was obvious. I don't have COVID. I think the choice for this one was obvious for me. I went for Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This has been, I actually reserved this at my local bookstore, but it took ages to get it in because they had completely sold out and they were waiting for reprints. And I got this just before lockdown over Christmas. So I got it in December, and for some reason I still haven't picked it up, even though I am desperate to read it. So I'm really looking forward to reading this next month. I've seen so many positive reviews. I know it was on the New York Times bestseller list for a while. So it definitely ticks both of those boxes, and it is just an amazing sounding book. Essentially you follow, well, I can't really say much because I don't know much about the book, but you follow a trans boy who's trying to prove that he is really a man and complete a ceremony that only male, he tries to prove that he is really a male by doing a particular like summoning ceremony for a ghost. It kind of goes a little bit wrong. He doesn't summon the right person, and from what I understand, a romance blossoms between Yadriel and Julian. So what's not to like? It's a YA book with a gorgeous cover. It's got trans representation, it's got gay representation. The Cemetery Boys is the second book on my February TBR. So book number 3 is Ingwars. Again, like, Ingwars, I don't really know how to pronounce it, and I'm really sorry for that. And I should have really watched a video beforehand on how to actually pronounce it, but we live and we learn, don't we? So this rune is associated with fertility, channeling energy, completion, safety. For this one, I went with finishing or continuing a series. The reason for that is the sort of completion and like almost the safety aspect, because it's a book. It's carrying on a series, so I can't start a new series. I've got to try and finish or continue on a journey that I've already started. So for this one, I've chosen Forced to Forget by Melissa Morgan. I'm not really a romance reader, but I read Forget Me Not by her and absolutely adored it, and she kindly sent me the follow-up book, the second. I think she's making it trilogy, but this is the second book in the series, And at the moment, it's the final book. I do think she's writing at least one more, so there is more on the way, but I'm counting this as finishing a series. This follows alternate characters in the same universe as the last one, so they kind of all move in the same circles and they're all closely related, but it takes a slightly different approach. So I'm really curious to see how I get on with this one, and I've seen a lot of positive reviews of this on my Instagram, and Melissa is lovely. The first book blew me away and made it into my top 10. If you've watched my top 12 books of 2020 video, you will see that the first one made it into my top 12, despite me saying I hate romances, and I really hope this second book will live up to those same high standards Melissa set. I'm really excited to get into this one and learn a bit more about the characters. One of the things I always come away from books thinking is, oh, I wish I knew more about those side characters. I wish we could follow their lives. And this shifts the focus to two of those characters, and I'm just so curious to find out more about them and to just carry on in this universe because I'm in love with it. So the third book on my February TBR is Forced to Forget by Melissa Morgan. The fourth rune was Iwaz. This rune is associated with death, regeneration. Alice! It's not associated with Alice, although it might be if she keeps being this annoying. So this rune is associated with death, regeneration, changes, and magic. So I've gone with a quite literal interpretation here and gone with the final word, magic. Any book that uses magic or is magical realist is a book that I can choose for this prompt. And luckily for me, this fit quite well with an arc I have, this Golden Flame. This book was provided by Pride Tours, and obviously the publisher, but it's in association with Pride Tours, who kindly sent over this copy for my stop on the tour. The book is absolutely gorgeous. Like, if I open it up for a second, it's this lovely like gold with beautiful like turquoisey aqua blue writing on it, which is absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, I don't really know anything about this book. I tend to go into books quite blind unless they're like the second in a series or something that's been massively hyped, and even then it's only like the vague information everybody tells you. But from what I understand, this uses a really strange form of magic. Yeah, it says here, but family bonds don't matter to the scriptorium, whose sole focus is unlocking the magic of an ancient automaton army. I don't know if this is literal magic, but I wanted to choose something a bit different and not give myself too many books on my TBR, so I really wanted to try and get 2 of the tour books I have this month onto my TBR using prompts. So it's a bit of a stretch, and hopefully it will fit into it. Depending on how my month goes, I might replace it if I don't think it fits in properly, or swap it around with some of the other books. I'm so excited to read this, obviously because it's from Pride Tours. She solely sends out books that have LGBTQ+ representation. So I'm really curious to see that representation in this book, to follow our characters and to learn about this alternate fantasy world. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. So book 4 is This Golden Flame by Emily Victoria. Val, over this way. Come on, baby. Do you have to walk on it every time, Val? Right, let me do that again. And finally, rune 5 was Marnaz, Marnaz, and for this one, the keywords are humanity, assistance, support, and family. This one again is kind of a stretch, but you know, oh well, it's my prompts and I can choose what I want. And that, to be fair, a lot of the thing with runes and tarot cards is that the association is whatever it makes you think of. For me, I said that this prompt is cat pics, so, or pet pics, I guess, but I have cats, so the cats are picking. Amy, you don't need to clarify that. Anyway, I went with this because I knew I wanted to do a pet picks prompt because it's just a really interesting prompt. It means I don't have to make a decision because I'm really indecisive, and I just figured it was a nice way to get some books out of my TBR and off my shelves and actually into my hands, which would be great. So essentially what I did is I laid out 4 books on the bed and put a treat on each one, and my cat Alice chose one. So I've laid out 4 books on the bed. These are just all from my trolley, and I'm going to put a treat on each one and try and get one of the cats to come and choose one. Alice. Yeah. So this little kitty is Alice. She's one of our 2 cats, and let's see which book she chooses. Not me, silly goose. Choose one of the books. I mean, I think that was pretty obvious, wasn't it? So, the pet pick is Icelandic Folktales. The one she chose was Icelandic Folktales by, I'm not gonna butcher the name, but Stephenson. I went into my local bookstore, I asked for any books on sort of folklore and mythology, and this is one that they found for me and passed on. So I'm very excited to give this a go. If you've seen my video on my MRes, I sort of am really interested in mythology and folklore and how that ties into, I don't need to go into that, but I'm really interested in mythology and folklore, and it sort of built the foundation for my dissertation, and it's what I want to go into for my PhD. So this is almost kind of research for me, but in a fun way. So I'm going to really enjoy learning more about Icelandic folklore and folk tales. I know literally nothing about this book. I didn't read the blurb, it was just handed to me by the bookseller. I thought it looked pretty, it's got some lovely foiling on, so I took it home with me and haven't read it since. I'm really excited, I'm really happy that the cats chose this one, and I can't wait to give it a go. And yeah, it looks like it might be quite a quick read, which is nice because some of these books are quite chunky. But yeah, the final book was this Icelandic Folktales book picked by my cat. So as I mentioned, I also have another arc to read. That is We Played With Fire by Catherine Barter. This one is based on the real life Fox sisters, which I don't know much about, only what I've read on the blurb and in the promotional details sent over by Kaleidoscopic Tours. But yeah, I think it's all about these 2 girls that end up communicating with spirits. It's all about these 2 girls that end up communicating with spirits, and I think they're trying to communicate with them. I don't know much about the book other than it's based on a true story. It involves seances, and they sent a lovely creepy looking black candle with it, which is very sweet of them. And yeah, this is the other arc I have on my TBR. I also have 2 book club reads that I'm doing. The first is Crescent City, which I'm going to be reading as an ebook from my library. I'm doing that on Bookstagram with a small group of Bookstagrammers, obviously. We did a buddy read of The Priory of the Orange Tree last year, and we really enjoyed it, so we're gonna just keep going for a while, and we've decided to try and tackle Crescent City. So that will be my next read. The other book I'm going to read, well, it's not. The other book club is a local library book club that we're doing on Zoom at the moment. And this month's pick is an audiobook. It is The Sentence is Death by Anthony Horowitz. I've actually already started this one, so it's technically not a February TBR, but I'm putting it on here anyway and I can take it out or whatever. But it is an audiobook, which is really nice because it means I can listen to it whilst I do my work and yeah, get so And then I don't feel so guilty if I don't get any reading done, because I have kind of read, I've listened to a book, which is the same thing. So my February so far has these 6 physical books, an ebook and an audiobook, which I think is looking pretty good. Like, that's not too much. I usually read maybe 10 books a month, so this is going to be challenging because some of them are quite long, but I think that I can manage it. So yeah, let me know if you can think of any punishments. Let me know if there are any punishments you can think of if I do miss out a book, and put it in the comment section below. If you have read any of these books and enjoyed them, please let me know. I'd love to have some other opinions before I dive into them. And if you've enjoyed the video, like, comment and subscribe. It really does put a smile on my face every time a little notification comes through from YouTube. So you know that you're making somebody happy, and all it takes is a little tap, so why not? I'm talking nonsense again, as I usually do towards the end. My cat is judging me. She's not happy that she's been being ignored. I think I've said everything about 500 times, but thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around and watch some more videos.